Rabbi says that Christianity and Islam is Noahide. You are already Noahides, not perfect Noahides yet, but a huge stepping stone and a huge improvement from paganism and your ethnic gods. Because at least you worship the God of Israel. New clip here from See Through It All.
In Jewish law, the Shalom, before there was
Rabbi Benny.
idol worship. Before
This is a fake house. Don't show off in front of the Goyim, Rabbi. Your house is too nice.
before there was even idol worship, it really came from, star worshiping, basically worshiping the astrological signs and so on and so forth.
Interesting. Well, I would say, because at this point you couldn't really say that. Well, Catholics are a different story, but Christians and Muslims, you wouldn't be idol worshipers. They believe in God.
No, well, that's already debate about Christianity.
Right. Well, they have their statues.
Well, you have many sects in Christianity. So right. Just to say halachically in Jewish law, the Shalom Eshiv.
So the sects like Jehovah's Witness and Unitarians that don't believe in the Trinity, the illogical Trinity, they're more Noahide compliant, depending on what rabbi you ask. Some rabbis say it's shatuf, it's okay, the Goyim can idol worship as long as it gets them towards worshiping the God of Israel. But others, they say the Trinity violates it, a man can't be God, that's idolatry. So that's the only hang-up. That's what he's talking about. It's not universal. There's not all one sect. Need More Amalek says they think you can be Noahide with the Trinity as well. They've adjusted their position to the Trinity only being idolatry for Jews, not Gentile. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. Exactly.
Well, you have many sects in Christianity. So right. Just to say halachically in Jewish law, the Shalom Eshiv, in his responsa writes, Protestant, a Jew can daven in a Protestant church. Because they don't believe in the Trinity in its literal form, according to what we understood as Protestants.
Protestants do believe in the Trinity for the most part, I'm pretty sure. More likely that they'll be...
But you can't go into a Roman Catholic church.
Praise Odin. Such great news.
Oh, great Odin's raven.
Because they believe they actually have a statue of Yeshu, right?
See, that's right. No graven images. The Catholic Church will have crucifixes with Jesus on there. See, I grew up in a Protestant church, and it was only crosses, no Jesus on the cross. So it's not like depicting God. It's not a graven image. That's what he's referring to here.
Roman Catholic Church, because they believe they actually have a statue of Yeshu, right? But the Bali Tosfot actually say that, but for them it's not considered.
Also, well, just if you're
see, so for them it's okay. You're Noahides, Christians. That's the real scandal. You got Christians. It used to be like, oh, they're going to behead everybody for being Christian. No, actually, the real conspiracy is you're already Noahides. You've already fallen for it, and they're shifting it in a new, more Noahide philo-Semitic direction.
Using any Torah lingo, make sure to translate it.
Yeah. So the Bali Tosfot are they're called the Bali Tosfot. There's not much to translate. They're the students, the grandchildren of the Rashi, who was Rav Shlomo Yitzchaki, right? So they say that Christianity, even if you believe in the Trinitarian belief, it's not considered idol worship for the other nations. It is for a Jew. Mm-hmm. Might consider idol worship. So it's a debate within our own discourse of Torah study, of Jewish law, halakhic law. So
right, rabbis disagreeing, nothing new.
Nothing new, yeah. Well, the famous story, right? Machloket, right? Like, what does machloket mean? If you ask, what's the law about this? Oh, machloket, it's an argument. Oh, what's the law about that? Yeah, that's also machloket, it's an argument. So you never win in the rabbinical studies because it's always a machloket, it's always an argument, it's always a discourse, always a discussion. So in that retrospect, yeah, the reality is, I don't think they are idol worshippers in my perspective. I think many...
Nothing they hate more. They don't even... They consider you Noahides and you're worshiping their God. If we were pagan, they'd say for sure you're idol worshippers. You heathen idol worshippers. But no, Christians and Muslims, they view you as Noahide. I don't want to hear there's nothing they hate more. They believe Jesus Judaized the nations and brought you to be Noahides, which was their whole goal of their Messiah.
Christians are... one of what we call in Judaism, right? Chasidei Omot Olam, the righteous, pious of the nations. And that's a big thing, even amongst Muslims. But the thing is, they're not going to have Avodat Kochavim, the term idol, stargazers or star worshippers, because we're the ones who broke monotheism into the realm of the world.
Hey, Liam, all of this anti-star talk is making me want to be an astrologist or something. All of this anti-stars and astronomy discussion makes me just want to like worship the sun and be into astrology like you are. So these rabbis, give these rabbis something to really kvetch about. They're like, no, you got to worship the son of God, not the sun of our solar system.
Didn't do that.
I'm still here.
Without Judaism, there is no Muslim or Christianity. That's just fact.
Oh, so true, Rabbi. Without the Jews, you would have no religions, Christians and Muslims. That's a good one-liner.
Broke monotheism into the realm of the world. They didn't do that. Without Judaism, there is no Muslim or Christianity. That's just fact. Christianity, Muslim is 7 Noahide laws, right? Just a side point. But back then, you would have to serve the 7 Noahide laws and not be those idol worshippers. And then you can be a citizen of the land of Israel. And you don't have to fully convert.
Cope, Christians. Can you cope now? You're Noahides. Don't say there's nothing they hate more. They see you as kosher Noahides. Yeah, I see in the chat talking about worshiping the sun. Yeah, at least the sun's real. We literally are like the molecules that we're made of come from stardust. The elements.
White_stag sent $5 on Rumble. Thank you. I've been on top of this.
You've been on top of it. Yeah, now I get it. I'll have to stop shitting on the astrology so much. The horoscopes thing is what bothers me. But yeah, we can be into the planets since they hate it so much. Oh yeah, so we're literally made of stardust. All the elements in the cosmos basically come from stars. It's what warms us. It's where our food comes from. It literally is. It's not the center of our universe, but it's the center of our solar system. I can see why the ancients look to the sun as a type of god. It goes away in the winter, everything dies. Especially us ice people, us northern men. That sun, sun gazing. Yeah. I like sunglasses.
Before there was even idol worship, it would really be
Volca Spirit says, hope you guys are spending a little bit of the day outside getting that vitamin D. Hey, my white boys out there, got to get our vitamin D.
It came from, star worshiping, basically worshiping the astrological signs and so on and so forth.
All right, now here's a new clip. Melanie Phillips is asked in Jerusalem if it's better for Israel's agenda that Goyim be irreligious, as Rabbi Cherky advocates, or embrace Christianity. Good question. Hey, do you like it more when the Goyim are religious and worship your God, or if they're atheists? Let's hear what they say.
Yom Chazoni's or concerning being religious or coming back to being civilized, there are two different agendas. One of Rav Ori Cherky, who sits with us today, that says that the Goyim should be Bnei Noach. They should.
The rabbi says the Goyim should be Noahides, B'nai Noach. That's what he's saying. People, these idiot e-crusaders keep saying, oh, neo-paganism is a Jewish psyop. Atheism is Jewish. You reject the Jewish Messiah? Nothing more Jewish than rejecting Jesus, the King of the Jews. Now here they are, they're going to tell you, they want you to be Noahides. They want you to worship their God. That's why Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager encourage you to go to church. That's why Netanyahu says Christians are his greatest ally.
Civilized. There are two different agendas. One of Rav Ori Cherky, who sits with us today, that says that the Goyim should be Bnei Noach. They shouldn't be like religious Christians. And the second is Yoram Chazoni's or Dennis Prager's or maybe other.
Okay, so the first rabbi says they should not be Christians and believe in the Trinity. They should be Noahides. And the next one is Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager says you should go to church and be a Christian.
Chazoni's or Dennis Prager's or maybe other conservative intellectuals who say to them, be good Christians. So which agenda do you think is the best?
Be good Christians. But please, be good Christians of the kind of Christian that love us. Because it's possible. I mean, do I have to say the obvious? Jesus was a Jew? No. It does come as a bit of a shock to some Christian audiences that I try.
The obvious.
But there's no reason why you can't love the Jewish people and be a Christian. There are millions of Christians in America. I don't know, I'm pointing at you, but anyway, there are millions of Christians in America who love the Jews. And I know there are plenty of American Jews who say, no, they don't really, because they all want to convert us at the end of days, to which I say, well, I'll take my chances on that when I meet them at the end of days. And
See, they're not worried at all about Jesus coming and making them convert. They're fine with you believing in Jesus and thinking that he's going to come and defeat the Antichrist as long as they get to...
Jews say, no, they don't really, because they all want to convert us at the end of days, to which I say, well, I'll take my chances on that when I meet them at the end of days. And I mean, it's like ludicrous. So, but if they're not from Christians, then they're not going to be Christians. And if they're not going to be Christians, what are they going to be? They're going to be nothing. And if they're going to be nothing, then the society is nothing. I'm afraid. So, yeah.
You're nothing. Hey, Goyim, you're nothing without Christianity. It's funny, they asked the question, would you, like, the divide amongst rabbis is, should they be Noahides, or is it okay if they're Christians, or are Christians Noahides? And she changes it to being, she prefers Christians than secular. Another Jew admitting explicitly to a fully, we get the receipts. This wasn't even see-through at all. This was Chris Menahan. Talk about vindicated again. They want you to be Christian. Nothing they hate more, right? That's what I keep hearing from these Christians. No, they want you to be Christians, not secular.
Yes, I want them to be from Christians. I want them to be observant Christians. But there's, in my view, no reason why an observant Christian cannot love the Jewish people as the parent religion of their religion. There's no reason at all. And
they know that they get the Goyim to love them through Christianity too. They're your parent religion. No matter how much coping you do about Judeo-Christian, Christianity comes from Judeo. Stop lying to yourself.
Deformation. Oh, it's a big deformation, but I mean, it's perfectly possible to be an observant Christian and not want Jews to be destroyed, to actually love them and to revere them as the source of your own religion. I think, I'm sorry about that if I've...
They're your source, and Paul says that. Do not boast against the roots, because you are just the grafted in branch. The root supports you, so do not boast on the Jews.
We're all talking about Rabbi Risharki here. It's interesting.
Great clip. So revealing once again. This woman, so I say don't worship, don't be a Christian, don't believe in Jewish prophecies in the Jewish book. And this woman says, oh, she does want you to be Christian and not secular. Who are you going to trust? Christians and e-crusaders? Just a conspiracy theory, right, scholars? Another see-through-it-all rabbi talking about how they want to have a Judaism for the nations. He says they want to establish Chabad houses for the Goyim to promote Noahide laws. Ben in Gallus says, vindicated every single day, more vindication.
I don't believe that the so-called New Testament is divine. I don't. And I've been offered ad nauseum on my YouTube channel, in any video that I make, we'll have tons of folks trying to missionize me. And I sometimes want to say to them, like, missionize me to what? To what? To a very watered down, reduced version of following a faith path through the Bible, one that throws away all the commandments, changes Sabbath to Sunday, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of funny. And my friend Baruch Brenner.
Yeah, Judaism for the Gentiles just is a watered down Judaism. 7 Noahide law Judaism. Good way to put it. Watered down Judaism. Neo-Judaism, the big term. It's getting popular.
Has a very dear Christian friend, and Christian friend said, why don't you believe in what I call Uncle Jay affectionately? He says, why don't...
He called, just like how Nazis will say Hitler is Uncle A, Jews call Jesus Uncle J. That's the first I've heard that one. That is funny.
My friend said, why don't you believe in what I call Uncle J affectionately? He says, why don't you believe in Uncle J? And my friend Baruch said to him, well, why should I? There's been throughout the ages tons of people that have called themselves a Messiah. And our Bible says to us, if somebody comes and says, I'm the Messiah or I'm a prophet, but tells us to throw off the commandments, don't trust that person. That's a false prophet. So
I believe that's Deuteronomy 13. They literally have a warning. If a prophet comes and says, don't follow the commandments, don't follow him. He's a false prophet. And then Jesus comes along as presented and they say, he says, don't follow the commandments. Well, that's not real Judaism. Jews are taught to stay away from that. Same thing. They're supposed to stay away from being eunuchs or castration. And then Christianity also allows that. And not keeping Sabbath on the right day, not keeping kosher food, not circumcising. The Jews, there's so many roadblocks to prevent Jews from falling for this religion that was fabricated for Gentiles. Uncle Jay.
To me, yes, I don't believe in Christianity. That doesn't mean I don't have respect for my friends who do. And at the same time, I think that actually loving fellow people is giving them an opportunity for a life path. And there's people on this channel today, on this program today, that have chosen to leave Christianity and follow some kind of Jewish path. In Rivka's new book, I try to make an offer. The offer that I'm making is towards Christians, also Muslims and others, and it's also towards Judaism and the Jewish state. My offer is that we should be making an offer to the goyim, said in a positive tone, to the nations, of a Judaism for the nations. And I think that the Torah, and I think that Abraham himself was exactly trying to do that. He was trying to bring an understanding of the faith path of a one true God to the nations. And now that we're back in the land of Israel, and now that Torah is flowing from Jerusalem, and now that the covenant is being shown on the world stage, and now that God is revealing his hand like in the 6-day war, and we are in the period of the third temple, please God, will be soon. And that's what Rivka's saying. This is part of the Geula process. And my saying is,
Redemption.
okay, let's make a serious offer. And my argument is that the Noahide system was not a serious offer. It was skeletal. It was what not to do. You cannot offer a Christian person coming out of the church a skeletal system and say to him, basically, I just don't want you to eat flesh from a live animal. You know, just do not rip a leg off a cow and eat it. It's not cool. And
it's more than
you know,
that. Wow. And how many, people talk about the persecution of the Jews by the church. If you were to look at a pie chart of all the people throughout history that have been killed or persecuted because of Christianity, it's going to be 99% Gentiles, right? This guy wants a Judaism for the Goyim, which Christianity is and Islam is, forms of Judaism for the nations.
It's not cool. And basically it's a set of no's. Some people can argue that there's some positives in there, including courts of justice, establishing courts of justice. But generally speaking, the 7 Noahide laws are a skeleton system of what not to do. It's basic morality, but it's not a life system. It's not a faith system. And so we have a faith system that we could offer people. I think we have a faith system that we could offer people. And a lot of work, including Rivka's, has been, and I say this lovingly, tap dancing around the thing. I say that we need to establish something like Chabad houses for the nations.
Chabad houses to teach not just the 7 Noahide laws, but the rabbis are going to tell you how to be good, moral Shabbos Goy Noahides. They're not going to just tell you the don'ts. They're going to tell you the do's. What you do need to do. Grab a hold of their garment and say, God is with you. The Chabad Judaism for the Gentiles, Noahide centers for the Goyim, it's going to be Noahide indoctrination training centers is what he's referring to here. Amazing. Such a good find there. Christians do nothing but cope and lie all day. Christianity, yeah, and everybody knows this is the reality about Christianity, by the way. Stop coping. Stop pretending this is a neo-pagan thing or a Jewish psyop or something. Your whole religion's Jewish. Jewish God, Jewish books, Jewish Messiah. Stop the copes.
We Jews always have had a tumultuous relationship with the pagan.
All you guys.
We Jews always have had a tumultuous relationship with the pagan world. At this time, there's no other monotheistic faiths. Christianity is born at this time, by the way. Begins as an offshoot of Judaism, as a huge topic, and later basically breaks away into a completely separate faith hundreds of years later. But it's just us versus the pagan Roman world power. From the birth of Abraham to the birth of Christianity.
It was them versus the pagans, and then an offshoot of Judaism came and went to the pagans and made them worship the Jewish Messiah, and now they're Noahides. Open shut case. Yeah, it was tumultuous against the pagans. They were destroying their temples and not worshiping their God. Would the Jews prefer half the world worship their God and believe in their covenant or not? Oh, actually, their whole objective and agenda is to have everybody worship their God. So I think we got our answer to that question.
Christianity, we're the only people believing in one God. And we're telling the whole rest of the world, which is all religious but polytheistic, you're all wrong.
Are we so powerful that people are like, what do you mean we're telling the rest of the world?
And Christianity started with Jews telling pagans they're wrong. Your gods are wrong. You need to worship the Jewish gods. That's the birth of Christianity. And Christians, and Gentile Christians going, okay, I believe you, Rabbi. I'll worship the King of the Jews. Okay. That's how Christianity started.
Saying you're wrong,
right?
But we're
just like sticking to our gods.
But in the ancient world, you swapped gods like baseball cards,
right?
Like if you, as someone of North Africa and a Carthaginian, you go to Athens, you go worship in the Temple of Athena,
right?
The Parthenon,
right? Jews
are like, no, we're not going to worship. No, only one God. That's idolatry. We're not going to eat your meat. We're not going to drink your wine. We're not going to marry your women. We're not going to worship your gods. This comes across as very arrogant. But by the time you get to the 4th century, Christianity, which starts out as a splinter sect of Judaism in Judea, has now separated completely and become a completely separate faith. Mm-hmm. There'd be no Christianity without Judaism. And again, initially it was a splinter sect. Mm-hmm. The earliest Judeo-Christians were Jews who just followed a leader they viewed as a messianic personality, not the Christian definition of God's son. That's an idea that Judaism would never accept. But some political, spiritual leader who's a descendant of King David who can redeem the Jewish people and bring us back to the land of Israel. And then it breaks away and becomes a separate faith, which becomes, with the collapse of the Western Roman Empire in the 4th century, the most powerful entity in Europe is the Roman Catholic Church. Right. The original Christianity was an offshoot of one or more splinter sects of Judaism, and Jesus is a Jew. The narrative in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, you read the gospel narrative, is all taking place in Judea, in the temple, in the Sanhedrin, and the high priest. It's all in there. It's our story. And their Bible.
White Christians are like, no, it's our story. We was Israelites. Jesus was a white Aryan. Shut the fuck up.
Well, the Christian New Testament contains the Jewish Old Testament, because you can't have the upper stories of the building without the lower stories. So it's in there. Islam, no, whereas Christianity today is overwhelmingly a bunch of pagans who eventually convert into the new faith and give up paganism and take this monotheistic faith of Christianity. Islam
gave up paganism and took on the monotheistic religion of Christianity and the Jews. And the Jewish religion
has no biological connection to Judaism, and Muhammad is not living in Judea. The Quran does not mention Jerusalem or Israel anyway, by the way. It's not mentioned anywhere. There is, in chapter 5, verse 21 in the Quran, a verse giving the land of Israel to Jews, by the way. Everyone forgets that one. Everyone should get the Quran and look at chapter 5.
The Quran says that the land of Israel was given by God to the Jews. How about that?
5, verse 21. Okay. But the Quran does not, it does have Jewish history in it, a little bit of it, albeit often not accurate. But it does have a very Jewish, it is like Judaism in that the conception of God is one. And it has laws in it. Christianity's creed over deed, there's no church law, canon law, but there's no like mitzvahs, there's no commandments. Islam does have 5 commandments, but it's not the same level of connection. But Muhammad was certainly influenced because he was a trader. He was running around on trade routes, like the frankincense route. He's interacting with Jews and Christians, so his ideas about faith are clearly coming from his interaction. So there is that connection.
All Jewish. And this is what everybody knows. Stop lying and coping.